A battle rages, unseen and unfelt by those who are on the outside looking in. It is a battle fought in the quiet corners of a life, a battle that does not shout for attention but fights nonetheless. It is a battle in which there is no visible enemy and no applause for victory. In a world that demands external validation, in a society that thrives on visibility, there is a war being waged beneath the surface, silent, unnoticed, and perhaps most tragically, unsupported. The experience of this battle is universal in one regard. It is a solitary endeavor. The fighter, though surrounded by people, remains isolated, often misunderstood. There is no cheering crowd, no collective effort of shared struggle. Instead, there is only the relentless internal fight. And what makes this battle even more grievous is that it often goes unnoticed by those who could provide help, support, or even understanding. The warriors in this fight are left to navigate their pain alone, while those around them continue to exist in the comfort of their own perceptions and priorities. It is crucial then to understand the nature of this fight, for it is not a physical struggle in the traditional sense, one that can be seen or quantified. This battle is mental and emotional, fought in the trenches of the mind. It is the fight against fear, against doubt, against the crippling weight of loneliness that can stretch out endlessly, devouring any hope of connection or understanding. It is the struggle against the lies that one tells oneself in the darkness, the stories we weave to make sense of a world that doesn't seem to care. Consider the nature of this isolation. It is not the kind of loneliness that can be easily remedied by the presence of others. You see, the absence of support is not simply a matter of lacking people around. It is the experience of knowing that those who are around you, friends, family, colleagues, are not equipped, willing, or even aware enough to lend a hand. There is a sort of existential loneliness that comes from living in a world where you are expected to carry the full weight of your burdens alone. The quiet, invisible suffering that no one notices, because it doesn't appear to be a suffering worthy of attention, becomes a constant companion. It is essential to reflect on why this silence exists. Why, when someone is struggling so deeply, do they not reach out for help? There is a harsh reality at play here. The very act of asking for help is perceived in many cases as a form of weakness. There exists a profound cultural narrative that equates vulnerability with failure. We are told from an early age that the strongest among us are those who need nothing from anyone. To ask for assistance, to lean on others, is to admit that we are not self-sufficient, that we are imperfect, that we are less than what society demands us to be. This pressure to remain self-reliant, to hide the cracks in our armor, is pervasive. It cultivates an environment in which we are afraid to expose our flaws even to those who should care for us the most. We wear masks, we smile through the pain, and we carry on, thinking that we are alone in our struggles. This performance, however, only serves to deepen the isolation. It creates a barrier between us and those who might be able to help, but who remain unaware of the magnitude of the struggle we face. The result is a continuous cycle of silent suffering. But let's consider something deeper. What happens when a person becomes so accustomed to silence that they begin to believe that it is their only option? What happens when the mind is so saturated with messages of inadequacy and defeat that even the thought of asking for help feels impossible? This is the essence of despair, the belief that no one will listen, no one will understand, and perhaps most tragically, that the struggle isn't worth sharing in the first place. In such a state, the battle begins to feel endless. Every day becomes a rerun of the one before it, a series of small defeats that accumulate until the weight is unbearable. But there is no audience, no external recognition of these defeats. There is only the quiet erosion of the spirit, piece by piece, until the person is reduced to a shadow of who they once were. And yet, despite the pain, despite the desperation, there is no support. No one sees the signs, no one hears the cries that go unsaid. This is not to suggest that everyone will reach a point of absolute collapse, far from it. But what happens instead is a slow, steady compromise of self. The internal warrior, rather than being broken outright, begins to retreat. They withdraw into themselves, becoming increasingly disconnected from the very world they once fought for. The external shell remains intact, but inside, the battle continues without any form of aid. Now, it's important to ask, what does this lack of support really mean? What does it tell us about society and about human nature? First, it reveals the uncomfortable truth that we as a collective are often more willing to look away than to offer a hand. We have become so enmeshed in our own lives, in our own struggles, that we forget to look beyond our immediate sphere of concern. If we truly seek to trust one another, we will appreciate one another without conditions such as height, health, or ease. We are taught to prioritize efficiency and achievement, to keep our heads down and focus on our own paths, even when those around us are suffering in silence. The irony is that we exist in a society that prizes connection but is increasingly disconnected. In this environment, it is all too easy for one to slip through the cracks. In the entire world, forget nonviolence completely. It is often left entirely out of emotion. This lack of support is also a reflection of a deeper societal ill, the way in which we tend to define worth. Value is often measured by productivity, by external achievements, by the tangible things that can be seen and admired. But this is an incomplete and flawed understanding of human worth. It is not enough to measure someone by their accomplishments alone. The true measure of a person lies in their capacity to endure, to overcome, to fight in silence when no one is watching. The real challenge is not the victory that others can celebrate, but the struggle that no one sees. In the absence of support, then, a person is left to grapple with their own thoughts and emotions. The mental battle becomes even more intense, for now there is no one to help bear the burden. The struggle to understand oneself, to come to terms with the pain, is fought alone. This is where the true nature of the silence becomes evident. It is not just the absence of others. It is the absence of self-understanding. When there is no one to talk to, when there is no one to listen, the internal dialogue becomes a series of painful, unyielding questions. Why am I like this? What is wrong with me? Am I weak? Am I destined to suffer forever? Such questions swirl around in the mind, unanswered and unexamined. The individual becomes trapped in a cycle of self-judgment, unsure of how to break free. It is here that the importance of support becomes abundantly clear. When there is no one to help you navigate this terrain, you are left to your own devices, often without the tools or the guidance to do so effectively. In fact, the need for support is not simply a matter of kindness, it is a matter of survival. Human beings are social creatures by nature. We thrive when we are in meaningful relationships, when we share our struggles and triumphs with others. To be isolated, unsupported, is to strip away one of the most fundamental aspects of what it means to be human. It is to exist in a state of perpetual disconnection, where the battle becomes not just one of inner conflict, but of the very loss of humanity itself. And so the question must be asked, what can be done? How can this silent battle be brought into the light so that those who fight it might find the support they so desperately need? There is no easy answer, no simple fix. But one thing is clear. We must begin to acknowledge the existence of these silent battles. We must recognize that suffering is not always visible, that pain does not always announce itself in loud, obvious ways. We must create spaces where people can speak freely without fear of judgment or reprisal. And perhaps most importantly, we must learn to listen, not just with our ears, but with our hearts. There is no shame in needing support. There is no weakness in admitting that we cannot carry the weight of the world alone. We must redefine what it means to be strong, to be capable, to be resilient. Strength is not the absence of vulnerability, it is the courage to acknowledge it. The true test of strength lies in the willingness to ask for help when it is needed, to reach out for support when the weight becomes too much to bear. The war may be fought in silence, but the victory is found in the recognition that no one needs to fight alone. It is found in the understanding that we are all in this together, and that by supporting one another, we can survive even the harshest of battles. And that, perhaps, is the greatest victory of all. Many individuals silently endure mental, emotional, and psychological battles that are not visible to the outside world. These struggles are often unrecognized by those around them, leading to feelings of isolation and the perception that their pain is unworthy of attention or support. The societal pressures to maintain self-sufficiency and appear strong can prevent individuals from seeking help when they need it most. This expectation fosters an environment where vulnerability is equated with weakness, further deepening the internal battle of those who are suffering in silence. True resilience is not about enduring pain alone, but about seeking and offering support. Human beings are inherently social, and meaningful connections are essential for overcoming personal struggles. To thrive, individuals must feel empowered to reach out for help and embrace vulnerability, while society must learn to offer compassion and understanding without judgment. There exists a battle that rages quietly within the depths of the human experience, a battle often invisible to the world around the person enduring it. It is not fought on the physical plane, where wounds are visible, where actions can be witnessed, and where outcomes are measurable. Instead, it is an internal struggle, a silent war fought within the confines of one's mind, emotions, and soul. This battle is the invisible struggle that many face every day, and yet, it often goes unnoticed. It does not announce itself with loud cries or visible signs of defeat. It is an ongoing internal conflict that can feel endless and overwhelming, but it remains unseen by the world, hidden beneath a facade of normalcy, strength, or composure. In the external world, the signs of this struggle are often absent, which is perhaps what makes it all the more insidious. The person who is fighting this battle may look like everyone else. They may have the same responsibilities, the same tasks, the same interactions as anyone else, and from the outside their life might seem perfectly ordinary. But beneath the surface, an intense private war is being fought, a war of mental and emotional strain, of doubt and fear, of confusion and pain. This battle is relentless. It does not take days off. It does not wait for the ideal circumstances to arrive. It is constantly there, simmering beneath the surface. And yet, it is almost impossible for anyone to see it. The circumstances of one's life must affect one's view, perceptions, imagination, effort, etc. The invisible nature of this struggle creates a profound isolation. When someone is dealing with a visible wound, whether it is a broken arm, a deep cut, or a physical illness, there is a clear, tangible sign of their suffering. People recognize it. They offer help. There are systems in place to provide support, whether it's through medical treatment, family care, or social understanding. But the internal battles are different. They do not come with visible evidence. There are no bruises to show, no bandages to apply. As a result, these struggles often go unnoticed, unacknowledged, and unsupported. This absence of recognition and support can exacerbate the experience of suffering. When someone is in physical pain, the world generally understands the need for care. There is empathy, compassion, and a genuine effort to help them recover. But when the pain is psychological or emotional, there can be a lack of understanding, both from others and from the person enduring the struggle themselves. There can be a sense of guilt or shame for feeling this way, as if the battle is not valid because it cannot be seen. The person may ask themselves, why can't I just push through this like everyone else? There may even be a sense of confusion or self-blame, as if their inner turmoil is something they are solely responsible for, or should be able to overcome without help. This isolation is not merely physical, it is existential. The individual fighting this invisible battle often feels as though they are alone in their struggle, cut off from the rest of the world. Their pain is theirs alone to bear, and no one can truly understand the magnitude of what they are going through. This isolation, then, becomes a central aspect of the internal battle itself. It is the feeling that there is no one who can truly understand, no one who can share in the experience of what it's like to live with these internal conflicts. It is a solitude that only deepens as time goes on, as the battle continues and the weight of the burden grows heavier. But the truth is that these battles are universal. Everyone, to some degree, faces their own invisible struggles. Some may be dealing with mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, or trauma. Others may be grappling with deep feelings of inadequacy, fear, or confusion about their place in the world. These struggles, though deeply personal, are not unique to any one individual. They are part of the human experience, and yet, because they are not always visible, they often go unnoticed. The person experiencing these struggles may feel like they are the only one, trapped in their own mind, fighting a battle that no one else can see or understand. But this feeling of isolation, though painful, is built on a misconception. These struggles are not only common, they are part of what it means to be human. The question that arises then is, how does one cope with a battle that cannot be seen? How does one endure when there is no external sign of the pain they are experiencing? It's crucial to first recognize that the invisible battle is not a sign of weakness, nor is it an indication of failure. It is simply part of the human condition. To suffer internally is not to be broken, it is to be alive. These invisible battles are the result of the complex interplay between mind, body, and environment. They arise from the challenges of existence, from the pressures of life, and from the unpredictable nature of human emotions. They are a natural part of being human, and everyone, at some point, will face them. One of the most difficult aspects of this internal battle is that it is often fought alone. When there is no external validation of the struggle, it can be hard to express the pain or frustration that comes with it. There may be a tendency to internalize the pain, to bottle it up and try to keep going, hoping that things will get better. But the more one suppresses this pain, the stronger and more intense the internal battle becomes. It can feel as if the weight of the world is resting solely on the individual's shoulders, and that no one else can understand or share in that burden. But this isolation is both a symptom and a source of the struggle. The more one feels isolated, the more the internal battle intensifies. It becomes a feedback loop, where the struggle feeds on itself, growing stronger and more overwhelming with each passing day. And yet, despite this overwhelming feeling of isolation, the truth remains that there is no shame in facing internal struggles. The very nature of the human condition involves dealing with emotions, thoughts, and experiences that are not always easy to understand or manage. The idea that everyone else is doing fine and that the internal battle is something that only a few experience is a myth. In reality, everyone faces their own form of invisible struggle, whether it is mental health, existential doubt, or simply the weight of life's challenges. Everyone has their own internal battles to fight. The difference is that these battles are not always seen by others. And that, perhaps, is the crux of the issue. It is not that the pain is less real or less valid, but that it is harder to acknowledge and address because it is not visible. One of the most important aspects of dealing with this invisible battle is learning how to navigate it within oneself. This doesn't mean simply getting over it or moving on, but rather acknowledging that the battle exists and that it is okay to struggle. The act of acknowledging the battle is in itself a powerful first step. It involves accepting that the pain is real, that the suffering is valid, and that it does not define one's worth or identity. There is strength in the recognition that, though the battle may be fought alone, it does not have to define who you are. It is simply a part of the human experience, something to be navigated, something to be overcome. At times, the internal struggle can feel like a labyrinth with no exit. There may be moments where the road ahead seems impossible to navigate, where the path is obscured by fear, doubt, and confusion. And yet, even in those moments, it is important to remember that the struggle is not permanent. Life is an ongoing process of growth and change. The battles we face today do not define our future selves. The divine orderly progression of the universe is the vital input. Even in the darkest moments, there is the possibility for change, for healing, for transformation. The battle may not end immediately, but it can evolve. And the person enduring the struggle can evolve alongside it. The key is to remain patient, to trust the process, and to know that even in the silence of internal conflict, there is the potential for healing. The journey through the invisible battle is not one that can be rushed. It is a slow, often painful process, but it is one that can lead to greater self-understanding, resilience, and empathy. Those who endure such struggles may develop a deeper sense of compassion for others who are going through similar battles. There is an unspoken understanding that arises when one has faced an invisible struggle, the knowledge that every person, no matter how strong they may seem, is fighting their own battle beneath the surface. It is in this shared experience of suffering that true connection can be found, not in the absence of struggle, but in the recognition that everyone, in their own way, is struggling to some degree. In the end, the invisible battle is not a fight against the world, it is a fight within oneself. It is not about conquering the external forces that cause pain, but about learning how to navigate the inner landscape of one's emotions, thoughts, and experiences. It is a journey of self-discovery, of growth, and of learning how to cope with the inevitable struggles that life presents. This battle may not always be visible, but it is no less real. And that's simply the reality. So, and in its quiet, unseen way, it shapes who we are, teaching us the depths of our own strength and the importance of compassion toward others who may be fighting similar battles in silence. Society has an ever-present influence on the way we live, think, and behave. We are constantly bombarded with expectations, spoken and unspoken, that dictate how we should act, what we should value, and how we should perceive ourselves. These expectations are not only external, coming from institutions, communities, and families, but they are also internalized, shaping our beliefs and the way we view our own worth. The consequences of societal expectations are vast, far-reaching, and can have both positive and negative impacts on individuals. While some expectations can push individuals toward achievement and success, others can become a source of immense pressure, leading to emotional distress, self-doubt, and disconnection from one's true self. At the core of societal expectations is the idea that there is a right way to live, a prescribed set of behaviors and ideals that one must adhere to in order to be considered successful, valuable, or worthy. These expectations often manifest in the form of gender roles, career aspirations, beauty standards, and social norms. From an early age, individuals are taught that there are certain ways to be, to think, and to act in order to fit into the societal mold. While these norms may be deeply ingrained in culture, they are not always conducive to individual well-being or personal growth. They create a rigid framework in which people are expected to conform, to achieve, and to perform in particular ways, regardless of their personal needs, desires, or emotional state. The first and most significant consequence of societal expectations is the pressure to conform. Human beings are inherently social creatures. From the moment we are born, we are thrust into a world where connection with others is not only necessary for survival, but also fundamental to our sense of well-being and happiness. Support and connection, whether in the form of relationships with family, friends, colleagues, or even community groups, play a pivotal role in shaping our emotional, mental, and physical health. The importance of these connections cannot be overstated, as they provide a network of safety, understanding, and shared experience that enables individuals to navigate the complexities of life. In an increasingly fragmented and isolated world, the role of support and connection has become more crucial than ever. The need for human connection is deeply embedded in our biology. From an evolutionary standpoint, humans are wired to seek companionship and belonging. Early humans who formed strong bonds with others were more likely to survive, share resources, and protect each other from external threats. These social bonds not only aided in survival, but also nurtured the development of communities, families, and societies. Fast forward to the modern era, and while the threats to survival have shifted, the fundamental need for connection remains unchanged. we still crave relationships that provide emotional support, recognition, and a sense of belonging. These connections are not merely optional luxuries. They are a vital component of human life that influences our overall health and well-being. When we talk about support and connection, it is important to recognize that both are multifaceted. Support can come in many forms. Emotional support, where someone listens and offers empathy. Practical support, such as helping with tasks or providing resources. Or social support, where a person is included in a community or social group that fosters a sense of belonging. Each form of support plays a distinct yet interconnected role in ensuring a person's well-being. Emotional support, for instance, is crucial for coping with life's challenges. It allows individuals to express vulnerability, share their struggles, and receive reassurance. This type of support affirms that one is not alone in their hardships, which can be a source of immense comfort. Practical support helps individuals to function more efficiently in daily life. It might involve providing physical assistance when someone is ill or offering guidance in times of confusion or uncertainty. Social support, meanwhile, is a broad but equally important form of connection. Being part of a community, whether it's a group of friends, a religious congregation, a professional network, or an online group of like-minded individuals, reinforces a person's sense of identity and belonging. Feeling connected to others is not just a luxury. It is a fundamental human need that affects our emotional resilience, psychological health, and even physical well-being. The role of connection in mental health cannot be ignored. In times of stress, anxiety, or depression, the support of others can act as a lifeline, helping individuals to regain perspective and find strength they may not have known they possessed. Without connection, it is easy for an individual's suffering to become magnified. The isolation that comes from feeling unsupported or disconnected from others can be crippling, both emotionally and mentally. Loneliness, which has become a significant issue in today's digital age, has been shown to have severe effects on health. People who experience chronic loneliness are at higher risk for developing a range of mental health issues, such as depression, anxiety, and even suicidal thoughts. The lack of connection, both emotionally and socially, can make life's challenges feel insurmountable, leading individuals to retreat further into themselves. On the other hand, when individuals feel supported and connected to others, they are more likely to face adversity with resilience and hope. Supportive relationships provide a sense of security, knowing that there are others who care, understand, and are willing to help. This sense of emotional safety fosters vulnerability, the ability to be open and honest about one's struggles, without the fear of judgment or rejection. The simple act of being heard can be incredibly powerful. Just knowing that someone is there, offering a listening ear, can reduce feelings of anxiety and hopelessness. Moreover, knowing that others are emotionally invested in one's well-being can create a buffer against the overwhelming effects of stress. People who feel supported are better equipped to face life's difficulties, as they are not carrying the weight of their burdens alone. The connection between support and physical health is also significant. Research has consistently shown that strong social connections can lead to improved physical health outcomes. People with strong, supportive relationships are less likely to experience chronic illnesses such as heart disease, high blood pressure, or diabetes. The physiological effects of support are rooted in the concept of stress. Chronic stress is a major contributor to numerous health problems, including cardiovascular disease, autoimmune disorders, and mental health conditions. However, social support helps to mitigate the effects of stress by promoting relaxation, encouraging healthier behaviors, and boosting feelings of security. Positive social interactions trigger the release of oxytocin, a hormone associated with bonding, happiness, and stress relief. This hormonal response has a direct impact on one's physical health, lowering blood pressure, reducing heart rate, and boosting the immune system. The more you train, however, the more you trust, and the more you trust intimately. In addition to the protective effect on mental and physical health, support and connection are also integral to a person's sense of purpose and meaning in life. A key aspect of human well-being is the sense of belonging and the understanding that one's life matters in the context of the greater whole. People who are connected to others often feel that their lives have more meaning as they are contributing to the well-being of those around them. This sense of purpose is not only fulfilling but also serves to protect against feelings of emptiness or existential despair. Whether it is through raising children, supporting friends and family, or contributing to a community or cause, individuals who feel connected are often more fulfilled and satisfied with their lives. They derive meaning from the relationships they nurture and the impact they make on others, whether big or small. This sense of purpose is a powerful motivator, especially during difficult times, as it reminds individuals that their struggles are not in vain and that they are part of something larger than themselves. Furthermore, connection fosters growth and self-improvement. Relationships with others offer opportunities for learning, self-reflection, and personal development. In the context of close, supportive relationships, individuals can learn about their strengths and weaknesses, receive constructive feedback, and develop a deeper understanding of who they are. These interactions help individuals to grow and evolve, both as individuals and as members of a community. Supportive relationships also provide the motivation to overcome personal challenges and push beyond perceived limitations. When someone believes in us, when someone encourages us, it becomes easier to believe in ourselves. This encouragement can provide the necessary push to pursue new goals, take risks, and venture outside of one's comfort zone. In many ways, the connections we have with others shape our identity and help us reach our potential. Unfortunately, not all connections are positive or supportive. Toxic relationships, whether they are familial, romantic, or social, can have the opposite effect, contributing to a person's emotional and psychological distress. Relationships that are manipulative, abusive, or emotionally draining can erode self-worth, fuel anxiety, and reinforce unhealthy behaviors. In such cases, the very source that should offer support becomes a cause of harm, and individuals may find themselves trapped in a cycle of negative patterns. It is essential to recognize the distinction between healthy, supportive relationships and toxic ones. Healthy relationships promote mutual respect, trust, and understanding, while toxic relationships are characterized by manipulation, control, and emotional harm. The challenge then is not only in seeking connection, but in ensuring that those connections are based on mutual respect and care." End quote. While many connections are formed through face-to-face interactions, technology has also played a significant role in fostering support and connection in modern society. The rise of social media and online communities has created new avenues for people to connect with others who share similar interests, experiences, or challenges. These digital platforms have allowed individuals to find support networks that transcend geographical boundaries, providing a sense of belonging and shared purpose. However, while online connections can offer a sense of community, they can also come with challenges. Social media platforms, for instance, often promote curated versions of life, which can contribute to feelings of inadequacy, envy, and isolation. The challenge is in finding balance, leveraging technology for connection without becoming consumed by its potential to foster comparison or disconnection. The importance of connection, however, is not confined to relationships with others. A deeper form of connection, connection with oneself, is also essential for overall well-being. This internal connection involves self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-compassion. It is the ability to recognize and honor one's own needs, desires, and emotions, without judgment or suppression. Self-connection is foundational to developing healthy relationships with others. When we are connected to ourselves, when we understand our worth and value, we are more likely to engage in supportive, nurturing relationships. Internal connection also plays a role in emotional resilience. Those who are connected to their own emotions and needs are better equipped to navigate life's challenges with strength and clarity. The role of support and connection, both external and internal, is indispensable in fostering resilience, emotional well-being, and personal growth. It provides a foundation upon which individuals can build healthy, fulfilling lives, rooted in understanding, empathy, and shared experience. Support helps individuals to cope with stress, develop a sense of purpose, and improve their physical and mental health. Up to the age of 15, connection offers the opportunity for growth, self-reflection, and the development of meaningful relationships. Whether through family, friends, colleagues, or communities, the support of others provides strength, encouragement, and the assurance that no one is truly alone in their struggles. Ultimately, the ability to give and receive support, to form meaningful connections, and to nurture relationships is essential to the human experience, as it allows individuals to thrive and find fulfillment in a complex and challenging world. Psychologist Paul Friedman and his colleagues have reviewed dozens of scientific studies confirming this relationship